Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having a really good day. This is Intermediate Music Theory video number 4, and we're going to keep on with them modes. And so we're on to the Phrygian mode. Phrygian mode starts from the 3rd scale degree. You should remember that from the beginner music theory stuff. So all we're doing now is taking those modes and explaining that harmonically, to actually be in a mode, to be in B Phrygian, the harmony has to change. It's not enough to just play a scale or a melody starting from the 3rd scale degree. What happens underneath the bed of the song, the body has to be different. So here we go. Here's the old whiteboard. Circles around the 1, 4, and 5. That's important. The red circles, those are important. Bottom here, that's G major. That was the original. That's where we started. Now we're in B Phrygian. Look how everything moved. The diminished chord is now at the 5 because we keep shifting everything over just a little bit, right? 1 is now 1, then 1. It was 1 last time here. Now it's 1 here this week. Okay? So there we go. There's the chord qualities. I'm holding up for a long time just so you can kind of see, like, okay, everything has moved, you know. So let's take a look at that. This starts to get a little more interesting because 1, okay, that's 1 now, but it was 3. Well, what do we got going on above it? Well, up a 4th. Up a 4th. Well, that's where our 6th chord was. So it's a minor chord. Now, up a 5th, 1, 4, 5 is the F sharp diminished chord. That's going to be quite a bit different, right? Now, the cool thing about that is it does lend itself to giving you strong finality. The problem is, you know, move back here a minute. That F sharp diminished is supposed to go up here. We're not going to resolve to there anymore, are we? That's 5 now, but this is 1. Is that okay? It is. In this context, it'll be okay. Also, something else that helps is a G chord, G, B, D. B, D are the first 2 notes of your B minor chord. It's B, D, F sharp. So it has 2 notes in common with this. So going from here to here isn't going to sound completely weird, but it's going to sound weird enough. And let's start off with just a 1, 4, 5. Okay, you got 1, 4, 5. I hate packing all my fingers in there for that diminished chord. But now down to 1. Okay, a little weird. We're not used to that. But it's not bad either. It's kind of a cool sound. Pretty cool. Now, what if we go, you know, the old 1, 6, 4, 5? Okay, well, we're still here for 1. 6, though, is now what used to be 1. It's G major chord, which is cool. You know, all of a sudden, we're still in, you know, the key of G major. You still only have 1 sharp, which is F sharp. But all of a sudden, this 1 chord doesn't matter like it used to. Now it's degraded down to a 6 chord. It doesn't even get to be in 1, 4, and 5 in this one, you know? It's like, whatever. And that, it's kind of cool though what happens. Let's check this out. It's a nice movement. It's a nice movement. Up to this. Not sure what I think about that. That's kind of weird. In that context, normally, we like that, normally, but we started here. got like this real weird, interesting chord progression. And I just want to point out to everybody that's watching these videos, I'm not coming on here trying to like check out what I can do with Phrygian. No, I want you to hear what we've done by creating Phrygian. You know, what we can do with it, where it can take us. That's really important, you know. And because if you're writing a song, you're trying to tell a story, that might be real important. That might be a sound you're hearing in your head. You're like, man, where, you start in here and you start playing piano, whatever, and you can hear in your head that the typical 1, 4, and 5 is not getting you what you're trying to describe musically. Well, these modes can be very helpful, and if you become familiar with them, you might start to learn that, like, oh, well, that sound I'm after is merely Phrygian. And so if you play around with them and have them in your head kind of at all times, those sounds and what do they do, what story do they tell, is kind of ingrained in your brain. You don't have to go searching for this stuff. You're like, oh, I know what I want to do there, and maybe you started the song in B minor, and you're like, I'm gonna halfway through, I'm gonna go to B Phrygian or something, just to kind of throw the listener off a little bit. It's awesome. It's nice to have that stuff in your pocket. Now, for the guitarist, real quick, I just like covering the chord qualities and where they are in relation to each other in these modes, as far as like, especially 1, 6, 4, and 5. Knowing that gives you an awesome start. You really don't have to do much thinking. You can just shift gears and start into this thing, right? Because 1, we know 1's a minor chord. Okay. 6 is a major third behind it. It's now a major third behind, so a major chord in relation to 1. Now, in relation to 1, our 4 chord is still up a fourth like it has been so far. Okay? And that's a minor chord because it was the 6th chord. Now, in this context, it's our 4 chord, so you're up a fourth. And then from 1 to the 5 chord is a perfect 5th, in fact. However, it's that diminished chord, your F sharp diminished, that we've been fooling with in G major forever, is now our 5 chord. So it helps to know in relation to each other where they're at, because then you can move it easily. It's readily available. I mean, even if you go from here, right? Let's say this all of a sudden you're 1. You know that, okay, here I've got my minor chord. Here I know I've got a major chord. I go up here. It's my minor chord. Okay? And then diminished chord. Back to 1. 1, 6, 4, 5, 1. Right? You can find it a lot quicker, and as you practice it and do it more and know shapes. I don't really know many chord shapes for the top 4 strings very much, because I don't do it very often. As I'm thinking about it, it's something I should practice, right? I should know that better. But that helps. It's just kind of, okay, my roots are here, and I've got minor, major, minor, diminished. That's how I tend to think of the modes, is just in their chord quality, where they are in relation to each other, and then you can kind of start going. Now, if you're composing a piece of music, you have more time to think about it. But if you were in, like, say, a jazz improv situation, and they were like, hey, we're going to play this thing in A Phrygian, it might take you a minute to think about it, unless you know this stuff and just memorize, oh, those chords are, here, here, and here. And if jazz, they like to do 2, 5, 1 chord progression quite a bit, right? Well, in Phrygian, 2, 5, and 1 have moved. 2 is here. 5 is where we've been talking about it. 1's here. Interesting, right? It's jazz. 2, 5, 1. So then you can have a Phrygian improv using the good old 2-5-1 like you always used, but instead of it being based off major, now it's based off the mode. So this stuff can become endless at some point, and we're getting there. We're building to it, you know. Even at the intermediate stage, we're starting to get into some weird stuff. This mode thing is really hard for a lot of people. I recommend you write down, you know, like a chart that tells you how to shift the gears and what qualities you got, maybe the spacing of the roots, like we're talking about with the guitar, so you just know how to kind of shift into that gear. So that's Phrygian for today. Next up will be the Lydian mode. So have a good day. Please like and subscribe if you like what I'm doing. There's going to be a lot more coming. Music theory is like endless, and we'll get into the advanced stuff, and hopefully I'm explaining things well and you like that, and hopefully you just like me. So please like, subscribe, share, get anybody else involved that might be interested. Have a good day. You're going to do awesome.